Hello, everybody. I am Sun Psychic Jean, and look who I have with me here today, Carolyn Cooper. Hi, Carolyn. How are you?
I'm doing great. And you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on to my show and allowing me to interview you so we can all get to know you just a little bit better. And I know that Carolyn and I have interacted several times, and she's just an amazing individual, a beautiful soul. And I have really we have this something in common that I wanted everybody to learn about. I don't know everything there is to know about Carolyn, so we may be learning some things together. And I know that she has a huge fan base here on the YouTube. And I see that Morella is here. Mona Lee is here. She's excited. Jackie Jacaranda is here. And Morella is here. And I know that you all love to hang out in the chat together. Lisa Davies is here. So nice to see everybody. I know, right? Carolyn,
Great. Yeah.
Carolyn's, she's just doing great. She's doing great. And Carolyn, while we're allowing for others to file in here, why don't you tell us about the painting behind you?
Okay, this is a painting. Let me see if I can get all of it in. Get my chair. Hang on a second. That's, well, my husband's horse Scout. And then moving up is, I can get it in there, Buck Wild. And then my beautiful horse Tilly.
Oh, that's a
And
beautiful painting, such detail. And
thank
I
you.
can, almost connect to them through that painting too. And of course, everybody knows Buck Wild. And if you don't, we're going to introduce you again and we're going to review that a little bit so that Carolyn can tell us her experience with the reading of Buck Wild. And Edward Kenneth is here. Hi, Edward. Thanks for coming.
Hi, everybody. I love my peeps.
And Mona Lee, I said she's here. I don't know if I missed anybody. Yeah, so it's it's a beautiful thing. And Carolyn, you told me a little bit about your background that you've had some psychic or knowings throughout your life. And tell us a little bit what happened early on.
Okay, the very first experiences I had, I was a very young child. My parents moved into a home. I was probably two or three, and I had a ghost. He was an elderly man that would come out of the bathroom every single day at different times during the day, but he would never leave the hallway. And wherever I was at, whatever room, and it was a very small two-bedroom house, and whatever room I was in, he would just stop and stare. But I always knew I didn't need to be afraid of him. But other things happened the 13 years that we lived in that house, and I was a major sleepwalker constantly. Yes, and one night it was mid dead winter in West Texas. It was really cold, and my parents woke up because they got really cold. And when they got up, all the windows in the house were open because I opened them evidently. And then I left. I got outside, and they found me walking, still sleepwalking, about 15 blocks from our home.
Oh my gosh.
And so they had to readjust things and make sure locks were up higher so I couldn't get to them. But it started off like that. And I always had, I had two vivid nightmares the entire time I lived in that home, but I don't want to talk about those. But some, I think, were relative to what happened later on in my life. And then just different things like through my lifetime, especially as a younger adult, I had a brother that had issues, and he was a hobo on the railroad. And I would just start feeling horrible for no reason, just very uneasy, um, very nervous, anxious. And then I would get a phone call about him being hurt somewhere.
Oh,
And that went on, and I had just, I became a nurse. And throughout my healthcare career, I could walk into a patient's room and I would just know that before my shift ended, something bad was going to happen. And I would have to react and react quickly to save a life.
oh my goodness.
And it just, I didn't talk about it because I didn't want everybody to think I was like a nurse of death. But because, I didn't want anyone to think I was doing something wrong. But I would just know, and it enhanced my observation skills tremendously because I would be on the look for anything that could happen so I could respond accurately and quickly. And it
Wow.
happened over and over again in my 35-year career. So,
Wow.
and then my dad had a stroke, and he had to have a trach because it mainly was his throat. So he couldn't swallow, he couldn't breathe. And one night I had this really vivid dream where he and I were standing on a wooden platform out in the middle of nowhere with mountains all around us, and there was a railroad track across in front of us. And all of a sudden, and he's in the hospital gown with an IV pole. And I'm like, Dad, what are we doing here? And he started singing Midnight Train to Georgia.
Oh,
And he said, come on, girl, sing. So I started singing with him, even though I don't sing that much. And so we're standing there singing this song on this platform. The train comes up, the doors open on the passenger car. He walks in, and as I start to step in, he pushes me back. And the doors closed, and off the train went. And as it went, he turned into his younger self.
oh, wow.
So
Wow.
I woke up crying, and I called my brother immediately because my dad was still in the hospital from the stroke, and found out that in the middle of the night he had a mucus plug up the trach. He couldn't breathe, so he pulled his trach out. So because he thought he could get air, and he actually crossed over and was brought back.
Wow.
So he visited me in the astral plane, and just things like that my whole entire life. And then after we moved here, we had a major fire where we lost a 4-car garage, my barn, my tack room, um, 2 vehicles, and the back of our house where our 2 bedrooms are at was compromised. And so we have a small guest cabin out back that my kids, it's a 2-bedroom guest cabin. And when they come, they stay out there. So I was not able to sleep in the bedrooms in the house. And so because we have dogs, we couldn't go anywhere else, and horses and 5 cats. I stayed in the guest cabin at night, and I would hear mumbled voices outside the window every night. And at first I thought, man, somebody's out there talking. So I'd call my husband and he'd come out and check. There was never anybody there. Well, I just realized that I don't know who I was hearing, but I was hearing them. And then one night I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning because we had the new metal barn erected, and we had just gotten it to where the horses could move into it. And about 4 o'clock in the morning, I was awakened to the chains on the gates rattling. And I think you read for me on this too. And I looked out the window, which faces the barn, and you can see straight into the barn from that window. And there was an older cowboy in there messing with the chains on the gates. And I thought it was my husband for some reason. And I thought, what is he doing up at this time in the morning out there in the barn? But I had to go to the restroom, and I had to run into the house to do that. So I got out, and the minute I left the doorway of the cabin, it was eerily still, very quiet, no sound, no wind, nothing. I came in the house, and there's my husband out cold on the couch with his dogs. Okay. So, and that's when I knew, ooh, that wasn't Glenn. So I asked you about him, and you thought maybe he was related to the land, that he was on some kind of a chain gang like a prisoner. And so that happened. But
That
you know, the whole thing for me is the voices that I hear, and like just calling my name usually. But that's what started me on my journey, and
and
that's
how did you how so you said you read some books that helped you to try and understand what was happening all this time, and then you found some YouTube videos and you came into tell us about how you came into the community.
well, I was just, feeling extremely restless and knowing that there's something wasn't right with me. And I kept hearing that Patty Lee song over and over in my head. Is that all there is?
Mm.
And so I started looking to, I was just watching YouTube one day, and one of the sites came up for Marina and Val, and I had a voice about 3 or 4 nights before that in the middle of the night call my name out 3 times. So I asked if I could find out who that was, if they were guardian angels or one of my spirit guides, because I had been reading a lot about all of that. And they they were able to tell me that it was one of my guardian angels. So that's kind of started it. And then through them, you popped up. I started watching you, and then Scott, and I joined both of your community and Scott's community. And I, have just been, I've gotten crystals now. I burn sage. I do cleansings on my home. And I did a lot of shadow work and inner child work. And the difference in my life has been phenomenal.
Oh.
I cannot describe how different I feel today from 2 years ago.
Wow.
My whole perspective has changed about life.
It
And
really it really does help to share what we experience with others in the chat or others in different shows and different classes and different opportunities. I always felt like you had very strong intuitive skills. I had no idea that you knew about your nursing career or about when you were younger. That's amazing. But it's like it happens to us, and we know that it's metaphysical or supernatural, but we it's in our everyday lives, so it's almost like we adopt it as normal. And it's hard when you don't have any context. It's like this
well,
weird thing happens and you don't know why, but when you hear or feel somebody else saying something that resonates, and it has like a strong uh connection to what you're feeling and what you've experienced, it's like finally you put two and two together. It's like that remembering is a relief. And I love that you said you did some shadow work and that you did inner child work. I think that that is really, it's all together, and it's almost like we're all blossoming, and it's all part of your awakening. Now, you went through this in 2 years, and it took me about 20 years. I found out I had experiences. I had a ghost. I had, but and I went through training. I went through my shamanic energy healing is where I did a lot of my self work. And it's part of it. It's all part of it. It's not just, being able to connect to your spirit guides. It's about being connected to ourselves, to who we truly are, what truly is going on, and to awaken and become aware of why we're here on earth. It's such a beautiful story. And I know that you have much, much more to share,
Well,
but Mhm.
I'm sorry. I ground every single morning. I go out and I feed the horses first thing, 7 o'clock usually in the morning. I take my shoes off and I step on the grass and I ground. I give my gratitude, and then I do different meditations. I've done shamanic, and I usually go sit outside in my chair, and because I can't stand for really long periods because I have a bad back. But I go out and I sit and I put my earbuds in and I turn it on and I just ground and meditate and it's all on YouTube, most of them that I've found. And I do Reiki healings with a young lady. She is on YouTube. Her name is Hoa, Hoa, and she's with Alchemy Healing. And that has helped me a lot, you know.
Wow.
And in fact, I did one this morning just to calm down so I could do this today.
It's so
So,
it's so beautiful. I'm telling you guys, and I know Carolyn is an amazing individual and a beautiful soul and a beautiful part of this community. But I know that each and every one of you all have your own stories, have your own abilities, your own awakening. We're all going through this together. And I love that we find each other. And I always told Allie from Heart and Soul Connected, I said, Allie, when we all cross over, we're going to say, I knew that was you, we're all going to be in the same soul family or something. It's amazing. So I just want to give everybody a chance. They're all saying hello to you and they're all loving this. And this is Kim Princess. She says, hi, Carolyn. And Candy Bear's been very much on your every word saying hello, hello, hello. And wonderful Carolyn. And just visiting is here. Scott 1974 is here. And we said Marilla and Mona are here. Here's Craig Dixon. Oh no, that's just visiting. Here's Craig Dixon is here.
Greg,
All your peeps, everybody who knows you from the chat, they're all here supporting you, Carolyn. And just an
well,
amazing, amazing story. Um, Thank you everybody for being here.
yes, thank you so much.
Christine Thomas is here. Everybody, I
Thank
don't know if I
you.
missed anybody. But so nice to see you all. And thank you for coming and supporting Carolyn. And so when you said that you heard your name called, I love that because I have heard my name called, and you guys think, "Oh, Jean, you're a psychic. You hear all this stuff." No, not when I'm in bed and I'm asleep. Do I expect to hear? And it's outside my head is what it sounds
Right.
like.
It's loud and
Like
there's no
you're
denying
standing
that
in a
I
room.
heard the
Yeah,
voice. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's no denying it, and
Like
it's mhm.
sorry, I was washing dishes one day and I heard whistling. I was here alone and I heard whistling like in the back of my hallway. And I'm like, my dad used to whistle, and then my brother that had issues used to whistle. And you had told me before I could ask my pendulum, which I got.
Good, good.
And I did. And I asked the pendulum because I knew it was one of the two because they both sounded alike when they whistled. And it was my brother.
Oh,
And I just received that he was finally at peace on the other side and that he was sorry for the life he led. And it all came through. And it's like I cried for probably 30 minutes because I was so happy for him because
mhm.
he was a tortured soul when he was alive. And I always understood that. And I think that's why I had a connection to him that nobody else did in the
Mm,
family,
mhm.
because he had caused so much turmoil that pretty much everybody turned their back on him. So, but at least now he's better and he's happy and he's crossed over
And
into a beautiful place.
mhm, absolutely. And I love that you have that clairaudience and you have the clairvoyance and you have the claircognizance and I'm sure you have the clairsentience. So let's do. I would like to go ahead and introduce everybody to Buck Wild. Is that okay with you?
Yay! Yes, absolutely. My buddy.
All right, we're going to scoot around a little bit. I don't want to make you dizzy, so hang on there a second.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, this is Buck Wild. And can you tell us a little bit? He's a donkey. And I said to somebody, I said, when I saw a donkey, I was imagining there's a different type of a donkey that looks a little bit more like a horse. And this kind of donkey is very furry and soft. And what type of donkey is Buck Wild?
He was just a regular donkey. um, he uh, um, he had the stripe down his back and a little bit across his shoulders, so he was like I can't remember what they called them, but um, they like it was associated with Jesus, the cross, the
Oh,
cross.
yes.
But Buck Wild came to us because we were involved in animal rescue when we first moved here, and for about 8 total years. And my husband got involved in a roundup of a bunch of horses that had been abandoned on a judge's property that he didn't know were out there. Somebody drove by, saw them out there. They were all in really rough shape. And so he went out with his group, his rescue group, to help round them up and, to find them new homes. And while they were out there, Buck Wild shot by a very small glance of him because it was a forested area, and he didn't come out with the horses. He hid, and so they weren't able to get him the first day, and they had to go out about 2 weeks later. And before I go there, when they first saw him, he still had his ears,
Uh-huh.
and when they went back out 2 or 3 days, about 3 weeks later, because it took them that long to rearrange everything, and because they were dealing with the horses and stuff, they had to take a another horse out and lead him, knowing that he would follow the horse like they used to do in the old days when they would try to catch wild horses. They'd take a horse out that was trained to bring the horses back to a certain area. Well, they did that with Buck, and they were ready for him, and they had set up a round pen that they could lead him into and then load him into a trailer. But evidently, and they went looking and they found the area. There was a little creek bed that was dried up, and that's probably where he slept at night. But between the time they first saw him and we got him, he had been attacked by a pack of wild coyotes. And it just shows you the strength and the stamina of the little guy, because he was attacked by a whole group. You could see all of the where the attack happened and all of the prints around where he was at, and he fought them off and he survived. But he lost his ears in the process, or
Wow.
most of his ears. And so they took him to the vet, but they weren't sure what they were going to do with him because he was completely feral. He had never had human contact. And I told Glenn when I saw the pictures of him, I said, you have to bring him here. We have the property. He needs a home. He's had a rough life. He needs to come here. And he did. After he cleared all of his vet checks and everything, he came, and he was feral. And it took me over a year of going out every single day and sitting in the round. We had to put him in a round pen to start with because otherwise we'd have never caught him for anything. And I would go sit out there with him and feed him and take apple snacks and carrot snacks, and I would just talk to him the whole time. And he was out there for about 3 months, I think. And then he finally, the horses got used to him because they could come up to the round pen and exchange with him during that process. And at one point, we tried to catch him because he had skin issues. And my husband lassoed him. And we couldn't, he was so strong, we couldn't, every time we tried to tie him off to get him still, he would rear back and fall over and choke himself. So we couldn't get him tied down enough to treat him. So we had to cut the lasso off close to his neck from where we had him tied because he stretched back and pulled down so much that it got so tight. And so he had the lasso hanging around his neck we kept trying to get close enough to him to get it off, but it was just hanging there, and it got longer and longer, and he was stepping on it. But it was still around his neck. And my horse Tilly was out there one day, and I went out and I spent some time with him. And on my way back, I teared up a little bit, and Tilly was standing there, and I grabbed her and hugged her and just looked her in the eyes and just told her why I was upset. That I was upset, that I was afraid he was going to hurt himself by tripping on that and break a leg or whatever. And he wouldn't let me get close enough to take the rope off his neck. And so I came in the house, and something told me to look outside. So I looked out this window that's right behind me, and the round pen was out there. And Tilly was standing there next to the round pen. She stuck her head through the bars because he was standing right on the other side because he really bonded with her. And she stuck her head in, and she pulled back and had that rope in her mouth. She pulled it off his head.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So after that, we changed the configuration of the round pen. We treated him using like a sprayer that you use to spray weeds and stuff. We would put the medicated solution in there that the vet wanted us to use, and we sprayed him down because he had it wasn't mange, but it was a skin irritation. And after that cleared up, we finally let him loose his first time, and he had me laughing so hard because he would run through the pastures, and he looked like Pepe Le Pew, the cat, the skunk, doing the thing with his little legs, and he would kick up. And, I spent a lot of time outside with him and the horses, and one day after about a year and a half, I was out there with him, and I was petting on Tilly, my horse. And he just walked up and leaned up against me, which was the first time he'd ever made contact with me physically. And I looked up and I said, "Whoa, are you wanting some loving and some petting, buddy?" And he let me pet all over him. He let me hug his neck. And from that time on, he was my buddy,
Oh,
The picture that you have where he's staring in the window, we have a cover over the windows because of the sun, but it's like a mirror on the outside. And he had gotten loose, he tried to do that a lot because the grass is always greener in the yard than it is in the pasture. And he had gotten loose, and he wasn't ready to go back in yet, so I just left him out there because he can't go anywhere. We had a front gate at the time, and I'd closed that on the driveway. And he, all of a sudden, the cats started going crazy. Some of the dogs were barking, and I'm like, "What's going on?" So I looked up, and he was standing in front of the window. And so I went outside, and I actually took my phone because I didn't know what he was doing. And he had found himself in the window. And I think that was the first time he saw another donkey because he stood there looking at it for at least 2 hours.
wow.
And it was like he was talking to the donkey or something because he would every now and then he'd start braying, and he was such a love, and I miss him dearly. But we had him for about 7 years, and he got sick. We both had COVID, my husband and I, and it was close to Christmas, and we noticed that he wasn't walking quite right. We got him and put him in the barn, called the vet. It was going to be an emergency vet visit, and they scheduled to come out at 6 o'clock the next morning. And we got up probably at 5 o'clock to go out and make sure everything was ready for the vet to come. And he was already passed. So, you know, your reading let me know that it was just his time to go. And it made, because at first I felt horrible because we couldn't even be out there with the vet or anybody because of our illness at the time because we both had COVID. And, and I felt like we didn't recognize something early enough to save him. And I felt guilty about it. But your reading with Buck just made me understand that it was his time to go. And it relieved me of all that guilt. And I look at him now when I see the pictures of him and I think of him and I see him just being his happy, little reckless, little criminal self because he used to love to bust out and get in the tank room and get in the feed. you know,
So
so
let's go ahead and I have the actual reading of Buck Wild here, and I wanted to share it with everybody. And
Sarah,
um, so let me go ahead and get it started. And you guys just let me know if
hush,
you can hear it.
hush. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. I'll stop in a minute.
Stop. Lay down and stop it. Siri, Sue. Siri, stop. Okay, hopefully.
All right, so I'm going to press play here, you guys, and hopefully you are going to be. You know what? Let me just share it again because I don't think I shared it with. You make sure I hit that sound included. Also share system audio. Okay, that's I have to turn that on. I'm glad I did that. Okay.
Stop.
All right, so this is only about 3 minutes long, and hopefully you guys can hear it. And I'm going to just go ahead and play. So he's really interesting. He's quite the personality. He reminds me of a little kid, and it was somebody who you had to sort of reprimand and keep in line quite often. And he's telling me that he was naughty, like whenever he could get into the feed bag or get into the watering thing, or like he would always be getting into something or always, up to something. And then he's saying that with that, you saw him also mature and evolve out of that sort of kid-like or mischief kind of personality. And he's saying that you could tell when he turned the corner and he was maturing, and maybe it was closer to the end of his life. And he's saying you loved him through all of it. And I think that the longer you were together, the less he would be getting into things, and that you shared this mutual respect. He's saying that you enjoyed the fun that he wanted to have, and he also made you laugh. And this is one of the things that he loved about you, is that you would laugh. And the love, he wants to thank you for the love and the respect. And he also said affection. So when he went and rubbed him a certain spot, or you told him to come and give you kisses, or there was some sort of affection that he just didn't get that kind of affection where he was before. He was very much just like, oh, but you showed him affection, which really warmed his heart and made him feel like he was home. And that, I don't know if he didn't have a mom or the other animals didn't adopt him, but I do feel as though he really appreciated your affection. And then he also mentioned the ultimate act of love, which is, when it was his time to go, that you were able to show that you loved him enough to put him out of his pain and misery. He just wants to thank you, and he understands how hard that must have been for you. And in the end, in closing, he just wants to say thank you for rescuing him, and that all of those phases, I think it happened not quickly, but it wasn't too long that you had him, but it was long enough that you were able to see all these phases. And yeah, and it's almost like he is sending other animals to you, and he's also, there's like a whole kingdom or a whole group of the rescue animals waiting for you for your day. One day you come, the next day he comes, they'll all be there greeting you. It's like you don't realize how many lives and souls that you affected. Um, by being this way, but so, so very sweet. So very sweet. And MLR says donkeys are so loving. I used to visit them at various farms where we lived. They love to be scratched behind the ears. And Carolyn said, it took me a year to pet and hug him. He was alone in the pasture for the first 3 years. His ears were ripped off. Oh, by pack coyotes. I loved him. And yes, his antics made me laugh every day. Oh, Carolyn. Oh my gosh. Wow. I saw like the evolution of him. How beautiful. Good for you, Carolyn. What a blessing. I mean, it's bittersweet, because you had the opportunity with them, but and you miss that so much now. Mm. Well, thank you very much, Carolyn. And all right, so that was, and honestly, you guys, Carolyn, I could feel. I mean, the love that was coming from Buck Wild, and the way that he was showing. When I read for you guys, your loved ones, your pets, show me and make me feel the love so that I can express it to you. And Buck Wild was on my mind for days after that. He wouldn't leave me. His love, his unconditional love. It was outpouring. And then I finally made a short and I put it on a short on some of my other social medias. And then I did the short here on the YouTube. And Carolyn's like, I kept that. I love that short. It meant so much to me. And honestly, they touch our hearts. And I know I read for your loved ones, your spouse, your children, and each one. And there's something. It's 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 this unconditional, pure love that these animals come through with the the most passionate and they just move me so much. I can some of my best readings. I mean, all of your loved ones are wonderful. I'm not trying to compare, but there's something about reading for animals that it's that pure, angelic, unconditional love. And I know that they, have good sides and bad sides, but the love that they share with us and the healing and just the way they make me feel, it was amazing. And Carolyn, you must have asked for a Buck Wild reading every time I saw you in the chat. How's Buck doing? Check up on Buck Wild. I know, right? But just visiting. She said Buck Wild's the ambassador of love.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And Kim Princess and Craig. I know, right? And Marella said he decided to pass alone, Carolyn, and that's why. That was his decision. You're right, Marella. Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think he knew it was going to destroy me initially for the first few days. So, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
But now I
And
think of him with love and joy because I can see him out there prancing around the pastures, uh, irritating the male horse and trying to be lovers with the female, although he didn't have the equipment.
and it's really so beautiful, and it's not just the readings, it's the connection. It's you being here in the chat, it's you connecting with other like-minded individuals, you evolving and learning and going through your own journey while we're all here supporting one another. And Carolyn's not alone, and it's not just we're all of these things are happening to all of us. And I say us because I'm changing. Things are changing. Things are shifting. Different things happen that have never happened before. And I just think it's so beautiful. I know it's so beautiful that all of us are here together. We all, support one another. We engage with extracurricular activities together, whether it's a show or a class or a practice. It's really important that we recognize that one thing that we all have in common is that soul aspect, that sentient, that recognizes one soul recognizes another soul. Not just that, but we are awakened and we're opening up and we have this awareness. This is something we all have in common. And it is throughout humanity, but not all of humanity is aware of it yet. And it's really, like you said, sometimes it feels isolating because There's not a lot of people around your neighborhood that feels this same way. But I had told Carolyn backstage, I said, you'd be surprised if you said you're having a meeting at the library at 4 o'clock, you'd be surprised at how many people would show up, because we're all looking for somebody to share these things with. It's, excuse me, it's really just so beautiful. Your story, your experiences, and it's not that Carolyn is now going to become a psychic medium. I mean, she could if she wanted to. She has all of these abilities, but what uh, what I hear from my spirit guides and from your loved ones all the time is this is our natural state. It's been, uh, you know, uh, covered up, and you know kept down, being hidden and not allowed to flourish and not allowed to be expressed. It's been hidden and kept secret and all of this. This is the natural power of us as humans. And it's really important that we understand that we've all had, I mean, when you start talking about it and I say I saw a ghost and then other people say, yeah, I saw, I'm like, everybody saw a ghost. Like, why didn't you tell anybody? Like we're and it's so common, but nobody ever talks about it. But now we are, because we feel this sort of urge, this sort of, and the availability of us sharing with one another and the subject matter being out there. It's really so very refreshing, and it is part of the shift and the ascension that is going on. We are all a part of it, and the more we talk about it, the more we own it, the more we can sit comfortably in the seat of our soul and own it. And it's that energy that we carry. And Carolyn she said she was getting crystals, and she does uh, sage, and she does her grounding. All of this builds that energy, and that energy ripples out. Even though you think that your neighbors may not be aware of it, that energy is rippling out. It's changing the frequency and vibration of the earth around you, of your community around you, and so on. If it's And that's not why we do it. We do it because this is our life here. This is our experience as a human, and we want to make the most of it. And this opportunity that our spirit guides are calling us and calling our name and trying to wake you up, it's almost like they can hear us now. She can hear us now. She's ready for more. They want to see what frequency you're at, or if you remember your dreams. And you have such metaphysical abilities and awareness, Carolyn, that is just so beautiful. And I don't know how you went through 30 years of being a nurse knowing that if something bad was going to happen. But I wanted to ask you also, did you know if something good was going to happen? Like, did you know if there was a baby going to be born, or did you know that there was going to be a surprise party, or did you know that somebody was going to get a promotion? Like, did you have those feelings?
Not so much, but I would have dreams, that a lot of times, like a friend's child or young person was going to get engaged. And like one time I had a dream that a neighbor who was heavily pregnant had gone in and had her baby, and I had the weight, the length, the time, all of that. And when I went outside that morning, because I had the dream at night, and then I went outside that morning thinking she was in the hospital, she had her baby, yay. And she stepped out on the porch, still heavily pregnant. And I was like, because it was like I just knew it had happened. Okay. And as it turned out, I told another neighbor friend of mine who was actually psychic, and um, she was a young woman, a young wife, mother like me, and we made friends. And I told her about my dream, and she said, "That's so weird because I had the same dream."
Wow.
Well, and so we compared notes, and then that night, the lady that was pregnant went into labor, had her child at exactly the same time we thought it would be. The baby weighed exactly what we said and was the exact length. So it's like just things like that over my lifetime have happened to me. And like when you talked about our energy changing, our neighbors who are close friends here, they're younger than my husband and I, but we spend time with them and their family. And over the last probably 6 months, you know, um, they both sat me down and told me that they didn't know what was going on with me, but that they saw a complete and total difference in me. Okay. That I seemed more joyous,
Oh,
that I smiled more, that I was happier, and they loved seeing that in me.
oh,
So, that's evidence to me that, my light is shining a little bit brighter. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I learned to love myself through all of this. More than anything, I learned to love myself first, you know.
that's beautiful.
And I just wanted everybody to know that you can get there too. You just have to put in the work.
It really is a huge part of our evolution, our awakening, our awareness is that love of self because we've been taught so much by our conditioning in the community and the not the community but the um, society tells us that that's selfish, or
Yes.
perhaps religion may tell us that's selfish, or but really, it really does start with us, uh, not judging, letting go, realizing lessons are only lessons and not a life sentence. There's no reason for us to be hating on ourselves or criticizing ourselves constantly. It really is an evolution, and it's like an onion, you guys. It doesn't all happen at once, but little by little. And the more that we can be comfortable and be in an awareness of who we are and be comfortable with the person who we are, then it is much it allows us to extend that same um generosity, or that same uh like uh, looking at somebody else with that same type of eyes. Yes, they've made mistakes. Yes, they're flawed, but they're a soul here who is living their life, and they're trying, and if we give ourselves forgiveness and acceptance and try not to judge us, it allows us to do that for others just a little bit easier. Obviously, there's going to be people who are not in your same vibration, who you're not going to be, chummy with,
And you can
but
always feel
and,
it.
and you can trust that. And you can trust
Right.
that.
I
I,
do trust it.
I love that. I love that, Carolyn. And it's a difference. It's like, what does she know that I don't know? And it's all about, I always say it's like that hamster wheel that everybody else is on. Get up, go to work, buy this, buy that, and come home from, or drink this and eat that, and then come home from work and go to bed and get up. That's not what humanity is here on this planet to experience. And we all know that that's all changing right in front of our eyes right now.
That's
Um,
all an illusion. Because I found, especially in my years now, that it's not the materialistic things that matter. It's not what you have. It's not how much money you have. Um, it's not the best show that you can make of yourself. It's what you truly think and feel for others. It's compassion, it's love, it's kindness. And for me, it's like, I'm lucky. We have our place paid for, which is good because we live on Social Security. And, but I learned to let go of all the weight that came with all that, the worry, the, and you know, it was constant at points in my life, and I finally realized that, it'll all work out. It always does. And you just got to let go and find the joy. And for me, it's just made a tremendous, tremendous change in my life. And, having the chat groups and in my tribe to and I listen to every reading because I get so much out of everybody else's readings, and you know, it has just meant the world to me. It really has.
Yeah.
And this is the very first time I've been able to um, do a sort of public speaking. I mean, I've been on the Zooms and a couple of chats, monthly meetings with Scott in that group, and then I've been on, yeah, in your group once, but I couldn't make it the last time. Shh, hush. Oh Lord. Anyway, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so
Oh,
this is a big step for me because I was always an introvert, and even in high school, having to get up in front of the class to do a report, I would pass out. I
oh
would
my
be
goodness.
so anxious and nervous. I'd just hit the floor. So this has been a really big thing for me, and I appreciate you so much, Jean, for giving me this opportunity.
Well, thank you for coming on. And I can't help but see that Buck Wild is peeking out from behind you. And I think he brought us together. It is him that brought us together that made me spontaneously say, Carolyn, I want to know more about because I hear this happened and that happened, and I heard this. I'm like, you've got to come on and share this. But and I was just compelled to reach out to you. But Buck, I think, brought us together, and he really does. I always say he's the donkey that stole my heart, and people are like, "You read a donkey?" And these people get this look on their face, and I'm like, "You just yes, you don't know. This donkey would just grab my heart, and he was, I mean, just the love, and it's I can relive it, I can watch it back, but that feeling that I felt with his energy came here, and his energy was was sort of blending with me that I could feel the love that he felt for you, Carolyn, and the gratitude that he felt and the need to express that. It's just so
Well, I
beautiful.
look at this every day and smile because of the joy it gives me. And my beautiful niece, Mary Bisher, painted this for me.
That's so beautiful. It's she's really, really very good, a beautiful artist.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But okay, well, thank you very much, Carolyn. I am going to let you go. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody, for being here and for supporting Carolyn. And I know they're all like, yeah,
Thank
they
you, thank you, thank you.
you're wise beyond your years, and you have such wisdom, such beautiful eloquence, and your support in the chat and in everything that we do together is really very much appreciated. And Marilla loved the show too. And all your peeps, they know you, but now they know you.
I'm so glad and thank you so much for this opportunity and see y'all later.
Okay. Carolyn, you stay there. I'm going to end the show. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you enjoy this content, hit like, share, and subscribe. Remember to click the bell to be notified of future videos. Thanks again. Bye.